any kind of serious negotiation. Go someplace where you're comfortable. Go someplace where you can put the other person at ease. You can buy them a coffee. You can buy them a lunch. You know, you're talking about a deal that's going to affect tens of thousands of dollars. Come on in. If you're talking about a deal that has a consequence of tens of thousands of dollars, you know, a $20 lunch is cheap, right? So think about it in those kinds of strategies. And then here's an important thing: bring something to the table. And I recommend you do this in any negotiation, and think of your first job interview as a negotiation. You're bringing your talents and abilities to the table, right? I do this, I can do that, I'm pretty skilled at this, I'm very good at that, and you're going to solve problems for these people. You want to let them know about that. So you're bringing something to the table. If it's a more business-related negotiation, here's a scenario I suggest. If you're interested in leasing space in a downtown office building, you might say, I want a central location, and you want a good long-term tenant. So let's do it. So I expect to be here a while, I'm going to be paying you rent, you're going to stand to make a profit off of me, and I'm going to have the benefits I need for my business, right? So I'm going to lease my business space from you. See how that works? All right. When it goes bad, as in Act 1, Scene 1 of Leader, when it goes bad, backtrack. That's what Kent refuses to do. And that's why the problem is exacerbated as much as it is. He starts yelling back at Leader. Bad plan. Bad plan. So when it goes bad, backtrack. It's like mountain climbing. When you reach a crevasse, you know, the big, big gap, and you can't get across, you may have to hike a long ways to retreat and find another path up that mountain. But it's the only way you're going to get up it, so you may as well go ahead and make up your mind that that's what you're going to do. Backtrack. It's going to take a lot of time and effort, but by golly, if you want that deal to work, there's no other alternative. This is what Kent refused to do. Refused flatly. If there's something funky in the deal, an odd stipulation, something unusual, one of the examples recently, I'm kind of interested in these sorts of operations because a very good friend of mine, as a matter of fact, we roomed here at NC State as undergraduates, as an attorney over in the 4th District Courts for the federal government. And he is a mediator. He takes people who are suing each other, there are almost always two businesses suing each other, and he tries to sit down at the table and work out a deal without actually going through a full-fledged lawsuit. Okay? And so as a mediator for the 4th District Courts, he said there was one particular case, they were going over there, and there was really only one hang-up, and it was like a $50,000 item in this business deal that was unexplained. And it had to do with health care. And so he asked, nobody had asked the question, why do you need this $50,000 stipulation for health care? And the guy said, I have a child with Down syndrome. He needs a lot of medical assistance. And if I don't get it from this contract, I'm not going to be able to afford it. And everybody in the room went, well, hell, we can work with that. You know? But they didn't know. They didn't ask what the stipulation. They didn't know why. Once they told them why, everybody was willing to cut a deal. They kind of went, oh, sure, we can work around this. And what they did instead was to get him some very good health insurance coverage. So rather than cash for the health insurance, they went, so anyway, find out what the hang-up is. What's the hang-up? Ask the question. You may not know, right? Which, once again, communication being the issue. As you notice in all these tragedies, communication is critically either present or not present, and that's what makes the difference sometimes. And if it goes really bad, you might not like it, but the only way, if you've got to continue to deal with these people, if this isn't a bridge you can afford to burn, apologize. I'm really sorry this has gone badly, but let's backtrack. Address the problem head on and ask what it's caused. And what went wrong? Okay, I want to work this out with you. I'm sorry this went badly. What do we do? How do we fix this from this point? Can we fix it from this point? Those are the kinds of things, kind of questions you want to ask. So, let's think about this play for a few moments. Lear makes a bad decision, and Kent began with his focus on the relationship, which is nice because that's exactly what a principled negotiator does. Royal Lear, whom I have ever honored as my king, loved as my father, as my master followed, as my great patron thought on in my prayers. You have always been very important to me. I esteem and value my relationship with you. That's what he's saying. That's a great start. The next step that got him tripped up and in the ditch, but he started out right because he was focusing on, as I said, what's a principal negotiator going to do? Maintain the relationship. It didn't work. The bow is bent and drawn. Make from the shaft, says. He's too angry to listen to it. So, okay, you're in that situation. The guy is too angry to listen to you. Retreat and come back later. Let him calm down. Time. Ice it. You know, this has gone badly. I've got to go. We'll get back in touch with you. That kind of thing. But then what happens to really make things worse is Kent, in turn, also gets angry. Be Kent unmannerly when Lear is mad. What wouldst thou do, old man? Remember Royal Lear? We went from Royal Lear to old man in the space of about 30 seconds. Old man! Oh yeah, okay, you're going to win a lot of friends like that, right? Yeah. Easy to see what went wrong. If ever the parties get angry. Anyway. So, what happens next? Neither France nor Burgundy find it possible to negotiate with Lear either. Burgundy, most royal majesty, I crave no more than hath your highness offered, nor will you tender less. Hey, this truly is a negotiation in its most accurate sense. It was a negotiation for the dowry to go along with the wedding, which was an important negotiation. And it should have carried a great deal of money, wealth, lands, all sorts of things. There was no doubt this should have had a generous dowry coming along. She was the most prized daughter, and the only one that was still unwed. What does Lear say? Right, noble Burgundy, when she was dear to us, we did hold her so, but now her price is fallen. Sir, there she stands. You'll take it or leave it, is the answer you get. You can't negotiate when it has gone bad, back out. As I said, take the long way around. As I say, the mountain climbing issue is actually a nice in that you hit the crevasse and you see this enormous, ooh, we're in trouble. You go all the way back down the trail and look for a long way. You can't force it. You can't push through that. It won't ever work. What should they have done? The long retreat to find a path around. Cordelia and Kent, being as headstrong and stubborn as Lear, could not do so. But France or Burgundy might have delayed the decision to avoid Lear's temper. That would have been the smartest thing to do. Royal Sir, I don't think I can give you an answer at this time. Could we delay this decision? Something like that would have been a better plan. Anything, even if it looked or seemed silly, rather than commit to a bad course. Try not to throw good money after bad. If you start on a losing course, don't push it, don't force it. That's the mistake that is commonly made. Okay? And notice that is kind of Lear's grand poison. He never negotiates. He says, I'm the king, you do what I say. He's unaccustomed to it. So it's kind of like what we were talking about earlier, Yvonne. It's the American who's not used to, I get my way. If it costs more, okay, I'll pay more. But I get what I want. But since none of us is likely to be the king or the queen, we all need to negotiate skillfully. This is kind of my point. You'd be surprised how many times people in minor situations where there's not much at stake except personal pride blow negotiations badly for the very sorts of reasons that you see going on in Lear, and live to regret it, honestly. The consequences, even on minor negotiations, sometimes can be quite of consequence, and we all need to negotiate skillfully when we can. Does that make sense? Are there any questions about this? So this is a fold out, a leadership fold out that comes out of Lear. It's not so much a theme of the play. I would never think of it that way, but it's an interesting application so far as to my mind, because clearly what we needed was a skilled negotiator in that room in Act 1, Scene 1, someone who could find a way to diffuse the hostility that started to go. And if you'd had that, well, I'm not going to say we would have had a lot less drama. How about that? We're not going to say we would have had good outcomes, but it would have been a lot less eventful for the people involved. Anything else? Any questions about Lear? This is I'm going to close the book on Lear, and when we come back next week, we're going to do crisis management, we're going to do time management, a couple other things like that that are going to wrap up items. And then on Thursday, I'm going to get you guys to play a game with me. It's going to be a game. It's going to have to do with the exam, and it's going to be a nice prep for the exam, but I've got something devious planned. So, we will find out. Come ready to play.
It's going to be one of the people games.
It's, well, not exactly a people game.
No,
You guys watch Jeopardy, right?
Oh my God.
Yeah. I do this Jeopardy thing from time to time to help students prep. What I'll do is I'll put, you know how the Jeopardy board is. You got 6 categories. You got 5 answers per category. The top one is usually 100, bottom is 500 until you go to double Jeopardy. All right. Okay. Well, I'll have questions that are either are or are not on the test, and we'll play Jeopardy. So, but that'll be our last day. Okay. Anything at all?
Ben and Brian's Rolling Digs start selling stock tomorrow for 25 cents.
Yeah. Oh, you missed it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's only funny when they got there.
I got it. I got you.
Okay.
Right.
You should give us a nice presentation and we can live somewhere and show us
Yeah.
what you're buying.
Got Rolling Dig towel.